This stream is sponsored by Brilliant.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
Our pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll, Atlantis.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight downside SC off. Bring in SC off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. I think I'm talking at the right time here. John Galloway for NASASpaceflight. Give me some 5x5s in chat because it's time for yet another yeeting of internet satellites up into space. It is time for a launch from Vandenberg at Slick 4E at Vandenberg Space Force Base out in California. And I see a ton of 5x5s in chat. Let's see if we can't introduce some of the friendly NSF voices that you'll be hearing today. Of course, on the screen, you won't hear its voice until it takes off, but that's a Falcon 9. Like I said, my name is John Galloway. And then also with me today, we should have Mr. Chris Gebhardt. Chris, we got you on comms?
Oh, you do indeed. Good evening / afternoon, night, morning, wherever you are around the world, whatever time of day it is. Good that.
Good that. Of course, Chris is the assistant managing editor at NASA Spaceflight. You hear his name, you hear his voice on the stream all the time, and you see his name on things like articles and stuff that we write, because we do write articles. Also, out in the field today, it's super windy, but we've got Mr. Jack Beyer out there. I don't know if we'll be able to hear him on comms at all if he were to even try. Hi, Doss. It's great today.
I'm trying.
Oh.
I do not sound like that.
Well, that's Mr. Jack Beyer out there operating one of the cameras. You've heard Jack's voice before, of course, and seen his awesome pictures and videos that he tends to create when people throw photons at him. Also, out in the field, don't we have Pauline out there as well? She's
We
doing
do
it up.
indeed.
All right, good deal. So Pauline Ackelin is out there as well, another super talented photographer whose name you see on things that are also labeled NASA Spaceflight, especially when it's launches and things like that. Lots of people helping in the back end. Patrick and Michael are all here. We are ready to do this, but since it's 23 minutes, let's go ahead and, I guess, get started here, Chris, right?
Oh, and I already have my first question because while we always sort of get one question in particular, I love this one even better from James Atkinson. Where's the fog? Well, it's Vandenberg, so, you know, we've got 23 minutes to go, so this is not a promise it will be clear in 23 minutes at liftoff. But where's the fog? Hopefully nowhere to be seen today at Vandenberg, and hopefully the winds cooperate as well, because SpaceX is watching the winds, even though they are proceeding through propellant loading operations, which began at the T-minus 35-minute mark. And in fact, we're about 2 minutes away from our big standard Falcon 9 venting moment. So that will be a good thing to watch out for. But Doss, I really wanted to start with that one because that's just a perfect Vandenberg question to begin with, I thought.
We're super efficient today. Go ahead, Jack.
Since there's no towers, can we just skip any tower-related questions?
There are already 2. 3. Simple answer to our questions. Vandenberg does not require lightning protection systems, so you don't see them. So that is why there are no towers around this rocket. So that takes care of that frequently asked question, but a good question, and I love it.
All right. I was going to say we were super efficient today. We went live just a few minutes before the standard T-minus 20-minute vent. Here in just a few minutes, we should see a big plume of vapors coming off the side as they start to clear out some of those lines that they actually used to load prop into the rocket. We were sort of waiting because it's super windy out there, and we've even heard from SpaceX that they're watching the winds. I guess the percentage go, the weather violation. Did we have that weather violation, Chris? I don't know when it's been up.
The last I saw, it was a 40% chance of acceptable conditions at the launch site.
Okay, so like a 60% no-go and a 40% go. They're still proceeding as far as the countdown net sounds. They're still proceeding with going for the launch, and they're going to watch it and see if they get a lull or the winds die down or something like that. But
Yeah, because one of the cool things. Oh, sorry, Dust. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say because one of the cool things with the sort of with the way Falcon 9 and sort of all rockets work, right, is that Falcon 9 doesn't have to fuel until the very last minute. But even so, all other rockets would already be fueled at this point in their countdowns. So it doesn't really make sense if the winds or the weather conditions are like right on the edge to not fuel and make an attempt, because we see quite a lot of times that even when the odds are stacked against you, if you can find that good acceptable moment in the weather right at your liftoff time, if you haven't fueled, you can't take advantage of it.
There you go. So we'll see if we get that big vent here. It's just a few seconds away.
It's
Yeah.
listening to you, Das.
It's like voice-controlled rockets. It's almost like I've seen a rocket launch before, Chris.
I know, right? And we know like to the second when it's supposed to happen.
I'd just like to say thanks to SpaceX Mission Control for watching and making that vent happen right on time. We really appreciate y'all tuning into the broadcast and pressing the big red vent button right when I said it out loud. That was perfect.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And a couple of other good questions here surrounding this mission that we've got. Osprey GT is wondering, will I be able to see this from Woodland Hills? Yes, so if you are in Southern California, if you are on the coast and you are south of Vandenberg, so Santa Barbara down through Los Angeles and San Diego, you will have a shot of seeing this during first stage flight as the booster is really propelling its payload in its second stage up out of the dense lower atmosphere. You will want, depending on exactly where you all are, you'll want to look northwest from where you are, and you should pick it up if the skies are clear. And a quick check of the satellite shows that it's mostly clear until you get down to about just south of Los Angeles right now. So if your skies are clear, you've got a good shot in Southern California.
This one's going south today, right, Chris? Is it doing a dog leg, hugging the coast? Like, what's the trajectory look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you've read Gel's mind, which was her question. Can you explain the dogleg maneuver? Which, yes, so this mission is going south. It is going into a 53.2 degree inclination orbit. Those are normally easier to reach from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, because you can sort of pitch the rocket over onto the correct heading to achieve that inclination, and that's the most efficient way to get to a particular orbital inclination. When you launch into a 53.2 degree orbit from Vandenberg, you can't actually pitch the rocket directly onto that heading, because you would be overflying Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, and San Diego, and you can't overfly populated areas that early in flight. So Falcon 9 has to sort of go as close to the coast as it possibly can for first stage flight with the booster, and then after the second stage ignites, its engine gimbals to change the rocket's heading. And that gimbal of the engine and the change of the rocket's heading is what is referred to as the dogleg maneuver. There is a performance hit to the rocket in terms of how much payload it can take to orbit when it does a dogleg maneuver like that. But as we can see here today, they put 53 of them when they go directly into this orbit when they go from Florida, and there are 53 on it today. So the performance hit is quite negligible to get them up from Vandenberg. And I know Jack must be really happy that they launched Starlinks into these orbits from Vandenberg.
He's going to unmute and exclaim, "Yeah!"
Exactly. That's kind of what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
But also, oh yeah, sorry, Gudas, go ahead. Yeah.
I am happy. Yes, I'm very happy. Although I do wish we had remotes.
Right?
I am happy. Yes, I'm very happy. Although I do wish we had remotes.
I'm grabbing some more questions. Das, are you available to grab some of our super chats as I scroll through some of our question queue as well?
I might be able to if I talk for long enough to actually screen where I can see that. It all depends, Chris, on whether or not I have my password saved to log in and see this panel where I actually read these things. Definitely appreciate all the super chats coming in, including Musical Wolves. Musical Wolves did say, "Are we sure this is Vandenberg? That the towers chase all the fog away." We appreciate you there, Musical Wolves. Not Garden? I guess I'll go with it. No message, which I think might have just been if there was a message with it, but it's not Garden. Thank you so much for the $9.99. We've also got a Tim C, $20 for the NASA Spaceflight 20-minute vent fund. I'm not sure what a 20-minute vent fund is, but I'm intrigued, and it sounds like a good time. So thank you so much, Tim C, for the support. We've got Blackjack98, who is a Red Team member. Blackjack, thank you for joining the membership program. If you're interested in joining our Discord behind the scenes and getting early access to photos from Starbase and videos and stuff like that, the membership program is a great way to get access to some of those things. Brian Owen, $20. Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate the support there as well. Justin Olson, another Red Team member. We promise that we won't send you on away missions. Just because you're on the Red Team doesn't mean that you actually have to wear a red shirt or go anywhere with us. You can just stay at home. And we've got a question from Rough Riders here who says, "Thank you for rolling out there, team. What's the max liftoff wind Falcon 9 can do? Also, rest in peace, iPod, right, Jack?" Not sure about the
Oh.
iPod.
The iPod Touch was discontinued. Also, iPod Touch, I steadfastly will say that it's not a real iPod. A real iPod has a click wheel, so it was already dead.
Well, that explains why I'm not missing it much, I guess. So, anyways,
All right. So the maximum liftoff winds of the Falcon 9 are 26 knots.
26 knots.
Which, let's do a quick knots to other wind speed conversion. Because if you're like me, I have no idea what that means in like an easily understandable thing. So that would be 48 kilometers an hour, or roughly 30 miles per hour, for the probably wind speeds we're more familiar with than knots.
Is that is that gusts? Is that sustained? What is.
Um, Very good question, Das. Yeah, so the winds cannot be gusting above those limits.
Okay. So,
Yes.
it's not like a sustained wind. If it was sustained,
So
then it would
both.
be even
Yes.
higher. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but both. And what has happened sometimes in rocket flights when when the ground winds are the constraint is we saw this once on an Atlas mission and a Delta IV mission where the winds would be good for long enough to convince them to pick up the terminal count at T-4 minutes, and then they would get to like 2 minutes and the gusts would breach the limits and they would have to stop and recycle and go back. So yeah, it's a little bit weird, but in this case for the Falcon 9, that number is sustained. So the 48 kilometers an hour, 30 miles per hour is the sustained wind limit of the Falcon 9.
There you go. All right.
Yes.
And of course, there's all sorts of calls that go into it, right? Like different types of rockets, different locations. Like SpaceX has sort of done the math, and based on all their experience, I don't know, launching rockets, it's sort of their thing, what they do. That's how they come up with some of these numbers. So a good
Yeah.
question there, writers. Thanks for the support.
Yeah. And I've got a few other questions now. If we want to switch gears here real quick, because I see we're under 13 minutes. These countdowns go quick, don't they, Das?
They do, especially when you start at the T-20-minute event.
Yes, indeed. Carson was asking us, is the auto tracking camera up and running today? It is, in fact, you're looking at it.
This
Uh,
here is the auto tracking camera, and Michael is actually on the camera, ready to try some of his software. Now, it is super windy, and we were having some trouble with the camera shaking, so we'll see how it goes today.
Indeed. Another good question here saying, well, why don't they need lightning protection systems at Vandenberg? Does the place not have an atmosphere? And I like the joke there. It definitely has an atmosphere, or getting to orbit would be a lot easier from Vandenberg with no atmosphere. No, the weather patterns are very different at Vandenberg. So Vandenberg does not have the torrential afternoon thunderstorms that Florida has. And when those are going to happen, you can see them coming in the forecast a long ways away in California. So you can sort of tailor what you do at your base around that, right? So when the weather prediction is 0% chance of lightning, roll the thing out, put it vertical, fuel it, you're ready to go. You also have the surrounding terrain that provides some protection as well to that. But that's the main reason why they don't need one there.
The lens.
Co-fishing fun? Yeah. When is the next dawn or dusk launch? Well, we will just have to wait and see. There are yeah, with the Starlinks, the chances that we'll eventually get one are pretty high. But in terms of what's coming up on the manifest, it's pretty much some solid afternoon flights or pure night flights for a little bit here. Because even the well, but yeah, because even the Starliner launch is in the evening, but it's still before sunset. So
Yeah.
not quite dusk yet. But I know what you're thinking, and that's good. Um, Going to run just a couple of other questions really quick here. 'Cause James Atkinson with a good question because if they don't launch this one today, this could become a very good question for tomorrow. Because there is a Starlink flight out of Florida tomorrow as well, which could put these two very close together if we should not lift off today with this one. Could SpaceX launch from the West Coast and the East Coast at the same time, or do they have only one control room and no capacity? So they have two separate as I understand it, they have two separate launch control teams, right? So those two teams are separate. There is some overlap, though, with the mission control teams out of Hawthorne. And there's also the sort of minimum time between flights you would realistically want. And what exactly that is, I'm not sure in terms of what they've gotten comfortable with, but one thing I do know is that Bill Gerstenmaier will make sure that the right decision is made in terms of how quickly they can launch. But in terms of simultaneous launches, no, I don't. We're not there yet. And another good question here: is there a limit for how many times a Falcon 9 can be fueled? Uh, I'm sure there is from a metal fatigue and a structures fatigue standpoint, but the fact that they were built to fly 100 times and you always build in a way more cryo flows for the number of flights you're planning, I don't think we're any. I would venture we're nowhere close to what the actual limit is, but it's a good question. But SpaceX has never said directly. And here we go. So we are 9 minutes ahead of launch. Things are looking good, aren't they, Das?
9 minutes? Say it.
What?
9 minutes?
9 minutes.
9 minutes.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, there's a joke that went over my head.
I'm going to send you a copy of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, man. Okay. Yes.
Anyways, we are coming up on just around under 9 minutes now, 8.5 minutes here. And let me do a thing here real quick, y'all. Y'all have seen the brilliant.org advertisement over on the channel. You'll see their logo in some places. We are working on a partnership with them because Brilliant is a great way to learn a lot of the scientific things that we're so interested in. If you're an interactive learner, you're somebody that actually likes to learn hands-on by changing things around, Brilliant.org is a great thing to check out. So every now and then you're going to hear the name, and that's cool because they have useful stuff. Like, say, for example, you needed to solve for a right triangle. Well, all right, this all looks like math, but check this out. You can actually go over here and learn some trig, not just by trying to figure out what sine and cosine are, but actually seeing the relationship of sine and cosine. You can actually see as the angle changes, the blue and yellow lines get different. And you can use this to solve for things. Look, there's literally a rocket on the screen here. Haha. So if you were 30 meters away from the launch pad, please, you should be further away from the launch pad. Don't be 30 meters from the launch pad. And you had a little angle meter that measured 82 degrees. You could actually, knowing 30 meters and 82 degrees, figure out how high your rocket went. More for model rockets than anything else. And of course, I'm drawing on the screen here, y'all. But this is all interactive learning. It's a good way for a lot of people to learn. Any sort of age you want to go through, you want to work at your own pace, maybe check out brilliant.org. I'm going to put a link into the chat. Give it a click, maybe save it for after the launch, and go check it out if you're interested in all sorts of topics. That was that first thing here. Special relativity, that's the thing. Probability, astrophysics, scientific thinking. Anyways, we've been working with them a lot. You'll see and hear their name on our stream a lot, and we appreciate y'all clicking on through and giving it a try out. Maybe it's something that's cool. Maybe you want to keep up on some learning. But thank you so much to Brilliant for helping us keep these streams coming.
They have a course on the rocket equation as well, which is really cool. If you've ever heard about that, and you're wondering what the deal is.
The rocket equation is really cool. Yeah.
When we do those, we also will keep the rocket on the screen. That's sort of part of the deal. So you'll always get the little live picture there. But one way or the other, here's that link in chat. And if you want, give it a click, open it another tag or something like that. And tab, I guess is what I meant to say. Check it out after the launch. Thanks, y'all.
Well,
Sorry.
I love the fact that Daniel commented on and tagged us in the chat saying, "I'm doing trig homework right now, LOL." So that was perfect. That had to be a weird coincidence for you there, but yeah.
F's in the chat for Daniel. Sorry, Daniel.
Chat for Daniel.
Oh. Here's an Alexander. Thanks so much for the support. This was a good question that came in too. Will it be possible in the future for SpaceX, since they are a private company and not government based, to launch from other countries or set up a base elsewhere? This is a fascinating question because if point to point is to be a thing, the answer to that is kind of yes, or at least in territorial waters of other countries. Um, the the interesting part of where I think the Starship development could go, and in relation to this question, there are obviously, I mean, the military and the Department of Defense have to be looking at this, from the lift capacity that it's got, the rapid use capability. I mean, that can't be a a thing they're not looking at. So, would the military use it for point to point potential? Where does that then mean they want to move that equipment? Becomes another good question. That's a fascinating question that I don't actually think there is an answer to, because I think it ultimately depends on what the use case of the vehicle is. If point to point becomes a thing, we've got to talk about something like that. If military options become a thing, that's on the table too. So really good question there.
All right. So we're under
Yeah.
5 minutes now, y'all. Look at this. Four and a
We
half minutes.
are.
The rocket continues to chill down. I have no clue where it's getting that condensation from. You can actually see some condensation coming off the side of the rocket there as well. But coming up on 4 minutes before launch, still, remember, SpaceX was watching the winds, not sure 100% because it was like a 60% scrub, 40% go at the last update, which was quite a while ago. But we'll see if SpaceX... hey, you can actually see the SpaceX logo on the side of the HIF there. Nice. The building says SpaceX
Yes,
on it.
indeed.
We'll see if we get a launch here now under 4 minutes.
Indeed. And we are seeing a lot of questions about the Bahamas launch tomorrow. Yes, the launch to the Bahamas is on tap for tomorrow afternoon, which would see the first stage actually land in the middle of the waters of the Bahamas and not try to skirt around them this time, but actually. Oh, sorry. That's wait. Hang
Different
on.
changes.
Changes. Hang
Oh,
on. Things have changed.
Yeah.
Okay, things have changed. It's going northeast tomorrow. Ignore me. Bahamas for another day.
Huh. Northeast, you say? One of these days, I'm gonna roll. I live in North Carolina. One of these days,
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll out to the coast for a northeast trajectory and see if I can see like the entry burn or something like that. One of these days, we'll see.
Please do. Knowing you, you'll catch something amazing that everyone else missed.
Like it does a backflip before it
Yeah.
lands. Or something.
Yeah. This mission has been that mission, the one tomorrow, has been interesting because it was originally northeast, then it was going to go to the Bahamas, and now it's back to me. Okay, whatever. But anyway, back to the mission at hand that we are 2 minutes and 40 seconds away from. You can see the transporter erector there pulling back. It pulls back a lot farther here at Vandenberg in its pre-launch configuration than it does at the Kennedy Space Center and the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, because this is the original transporter erector design, but the Cape and Kennedy have upgraded designs that sort of throw back to better protect themselves to enable more rapid turnaround of those launch pads, whereas the Vandenberg manifest doesn't require as rapid a turnaround, so the TE can take a little bit more abuse as the rocket lifts off.
And it's coming at us. Like when it goes away from
Yes.
the rocket, it actually sort of leans towards the camera here. You can see it just off to the side a little bit, but it's literally leaning towards us in this view. And we're under 2 minutes now, Chris. We're going to put a pause on the super chats and questions and stuff like that. We're going to turn on our nice mic that we have out there. Normally it's a lot of wind noise, but we're going to turn that on so we can get the sounds of the rockets. The rocket rockets. I guess it's one rocket with 9 engines, 10 engines, depending on how you count it. Either way, it's coming up in a minute and a half, and let's see if SpaceX gets a hole in the wind here that allows them to launch these 53 Starlink satellites from Vandenberg Space Force Base out on the West Coast today. Hey, if you're down south from there, if you're LA or something, get ready to look to your west, your southwest, your northwest. Just look out over the ocean because that's where it's going to be going. If it's visible, that's going to be the direction. I don't know what the clouds are like out there today, but we'll see.
But at this point in our countdown of 55 seconds, Falcon 9 would be in startup, and it's meaning it has taken control of the countdown, and its tanks would be pressurizing to flight levels.
All right. This is one of the things we do, folks. I mean, it's a Starlink launch. I think like not very many media people showed up, but because of y'all's support, we keep rolling out for stuff like this. So if there's a launch that we can realistically get to, we want to go live and we want to share it with y'all with our own cameras and our own feeds, even if everybody else is like, meh, Starlink launch, whatever. Coming up under 15 seconds now. Chris, I'll let you take it away when it takes off.
Yeah, so 10 seconds to go until the launch of our next Starlink batch. You can see the sound suppression water is on. We have ignition of the Merlin engines, and we have a liftoff of the Starlink 413 mission from Vandenberg. Go, internet rocket, go.
They just sent it. I mean, 40%. Oh, hey, whatever. Let's get these satellites in space. We'll get this rumble coming up on us now, y'all, across the valley there. Look at that. Both Jack and the bot tracking it.
And there we go, that liquid engine condensation trail as we go through about 30,000 feet or about 11 kilometers in altitude now. And you guys are watching the Starlink launch, a Starlink 4-13 mission, and that you are seeing is the engine trail of booster 1063-5, a veteran of West Coast launches for the Sentinel-6A mission and NASA's Double Asteroid Redirect Test mission, launching its 5th flight and 3rd Starlink mission. And you can, Das, this is the part I love, when you can see the reduction in air pressure, so the plume expands and starts changing color.
Yep, you can actually see, folks, the reason the exhaust sort of gets wider like that is that there's less air pressure to push the flame together. And so the higher the rocket goes, the less air pressure there is, the more that exhaust sort of spreads out in this big wide trail like this.
And this is the robotic tracking camera. I want to point this out.
Yeah.
This is Michael's software tracking this rocket right now.
Yep. This is a servo-controlled camera. Michael isn't even there, and he has software sending commands to that. There was Miko, looks like. Software is literally watching the video, deciding what's a rocket and what's not a rocket. He sort of tells it what the rocket looks like, and then keeping the camera using the little robotic servos that are put together, tracking the rocket. This is like automated tracking here. This isn't somebody with a joystick or anything like that. He's been working on this for a long time, and honestly, with the support of Brilliant, we're working on deploying more and more of these robotically controlled cameras.
You can see the payload fairings glinting in the sunlight on Michael's track. Oh, wow, that is incredible. The payload fairings and the booster and the returning booster are in that. Oh, that is a fantastic shot. Yeah, so with staging of the vehicle, the first stage is heading for, of course, I Still Love You, stationed approximately 645 kilometers downrange from Vandenberg. You can see it there on the left-hand side of your screen with the onboard tracking cameras. The payload fairings deployed just after second stage ignition and are headed for splashdown and recovery about 654 kilometers downrange
Look at
from
that.
Vandenberg. And look at that. Like,
Those I mean, I don't wanna guess what I'm looking at. Are
I
those
am I
fa
think those are the
fa
fairings.
who's gonna say it? Who's gonna say, "Is that the fairing?"
I th one of those is a fairing,
I'm
because the booster is still intact. So one of those is is the fairing, if not both of them. That is an incredible view.
It looked like the lighting was changing or something, right? Like it was
Yeah.
mimicking or something. I didn't wanna say it. I don't know for sure, but that really does look like the fairings. The 2 halves of the 1 fairing, 2 halves, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh. But you can see how clear a day it is. You can see some of the islands off Southern California. They're under booster 1063, still dash 5. They don't level up till they land. But you can just see gorgeous views here as both of the stages continue to do what they are supposed to do here. Yeah. So this on the right hand side of your screen, you can see the second stage engine, the Merlin vacuum optimized engine, continuing to fire, taking the 53 Starlink satellites to orbit. So that engine has already done its dogleg maneuver at this time, and is adjusting the overall target endpoint for the burn, so that the inclination is correct at the time that the burn is complete. So that dogleg maneuver already done. And then on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see this is actually a camera in the interstage looking up. But you could see there the first stage on its way down. Now, the second stage, which we're seeing here, you see its current speed is just over 12,000 kilometers per hour. We are looking for an initial orbital insertion of just over 27,000 kilometers per hour. So still quite a bit of velocity change to go there for the second stage. And we're about to see a different kind of velocity change for the booster on the left-hand side of your screen. You could see a little bit of ice drifting away there from one of the grid fins. Nothing to worry about. That's fairly standard on
Yep.
every rocket launch when you pump massively cold cryogenic propellants into it and then shoot it up into a vacuum. Ice forms very quickly. So that little thing was just ice. And here we are coming up on the entry burn on the left-hand side of your screen. And Das, do you think we'll get the like drone ship emerges from under booster at the landing today?
I think we'll probably see it. The video feed looks fantastic from the booster right now. If you're out there in LA or San Diego or just Tijuana, I guess too,
Actually, yeah.
if you see anything, let us know in chat if you saw anything and you're watching. And there's the entry burn starting up.
Yep, you saw the initial flame there, indicating the center Merlin engine had lit, and then you see the flame sort of change and expand, and that's the other two for the three engine entry burn, and you can see that velocity dropped rapidly there. It will now increase a little bit, but but now we're back into the dense lower atmosphere. So that speed is now going to start dropping based on the air resistance and drag of the booster and the grid fins as it continues to descend down toward its landing burn. And you can see the velocity on that booster now dropping rapidly as the speed on the second stage does what it's supposed to do and continue to increase rapidly here. So 7 minutes, 18 seconds in. And there's also a engine test going on at McGregor.
Not the only Merlin that's being fired by SpaceX right now. At the exact same time in McGregor, Texas, they're doing a stage 2 test, or they're doing a test of Merlins. I think it is a stage 2 test, actually, out at their engine test facility in McGregor. We've got 24/7 cameras there as well, and they have one that's going on its way to orbit, and they're doing another engine test in McGregor right now. And we've got live cameras all over the place. Anyways, back to the rocket, back to the real rocket. Please go, Patrick. Thank you. I thought that was cool. I had to show
No,
that real
that's cool. Yeah. Oh, but what I love, look at this, DOS. You can see the Baja Peninsula up
Oh,
on top of the engine bell. You can the other one, but yeah. Yeah, but anyway, just over 8 minutes to go. We are approaching the landing, the planned landing of Booster 1063 on, of course, I Still Love You, as well as SECO, or stage engine cutoff of the Merlin vacuum engine here on the second stage. Again, we're aiming for an orbital velocity of about 27,000 kilometers an hour. On that, on the right hand side of your screen, and on the left hand side of your screen, we are hopefully waiting to see something.
Since it's a planned landing, can we call it a planned landing?
Yes, just for you. And there it is. There is Booster 1063-6 standing on, of course, I Still Love You, about 640 kilometers downrange from its launch site. But there is the booster waiting to launch another mission. And you can see also on the right hand side of your screen, we have good orbital speed indications there of 27,200 kilometers an hour for the second stage. So what a liftoff today, especially since SpaceX was really worried about the winds.
Yep.
Yeah, Jack, I should have made a bet with you that they'd lift off. I'd have won.
Yeah, you should have, because I would have said they for sure wouldn't. I did not expect that.
Busy though.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, there's one more question I want to hit myself here, and Dawes, I think we got a few more as well. But this is your favorite view on launch day, isn't it?
True, it's true. It's a launch pad that no longer has the rocket on it because we just got to see a Falcon 9 ship 53 internet satellites on its way to space. So I'm very curious. A lot of us were like, geez, it's probably going to scrub all the winds. But SpaceX shows up and fueled the thing and had, I guess, a lull in the winds there, and they were able to send it. That's why they do it. So anyways,
And
this is what I like to see on launch day.
indeed, and what I also am loving seeing in chat is all the compliments to Michael on that tracking software. Huge success today.
Yeah.
Great job there, Michael. An
Absolutely.
incredible amount of work went into designing that. The one question that I wanted to hit before we left is there ever the possibility of a jellyfish effect from a landing, like a booster coming back? Kind of. It's more a nebula effect than a jellyfish, but we have seen something kind of similar on one of the Falcon Heavy returns to the Cape, where both of the boosters were interacting with each other and where the moon sort of was. You could kind of see them. They are not as pronounced in some regards, but I mean, I can't personally wait until the first Falcon Heavy return to launch site dual landing where the core stage is going to continue to do a jellyfish and the boosters are going to do one too. Yeah.
Yep. And y'all, we are gonna have to
Yeah.
pack things up here. It looks like they do have to bring the rest of the equipment down. But real quick, I asked us to put McGregor Live back up on the screen again. This is again one of our 24/7 cameras, and it looks like I'm not sure. They may have had an abort on the tripod there, but it looks like the tripod is still active. So they've got a Raptor 2 engine underneath the. I mean, clearly this is the tripod. It's right here. It's pretty obvious which one the tripod is, y'all. But look, it's actually still chilling an engine. You can actually see some of the vapors coming out from underneath this. And we've seen them fire that engine on the tripod back to back before within some tens of minutes. So even though they may have had an abort just a little bit ago, it looks like they haven't given up. So if you're interested in seeing a Raptor 2 actually fire, I mean, you can see right underneath the thing, you see flames and shock diamonds come out the bottom of the tripod. They're pointed straight down. You can, after we stop this stream, head on over to McGregor Live. Not a lot of people know about it yet. We just launched it a couple weeks ago, but every single day, I think, well, we've had 5 engine tests so far today.
Today, yeah.
A Merlin, a Raptor Vertical, a Raptor Horizontal, a Falcon 9 Stage 2, and maybe an abort there on the Raptor tripod because we logged a 2-second test 7 minutes ago. But that is our other stream. It looks like that thing is still chilling. There may be some possibility that it might go again. Again, they don't publish a schedule or anything like that. But I figured we could talk about that for just a second as Jack and, as Jack had to pack up the robot and the other cameras and stuff like that. So I don't have any trouble just leaving this on the screen for now because we've packed up their cameras. But should we start wrapping things up here, Chris?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Let me say thanks to the
Yeah.
super chats real quick. I don't want to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah, indeed.
Yeah, John, we missed you earlier just before the launch, saying you just want to give a shout out to your buddy at work, Rick. He just got his Dishy McFlat face. Nice. Thanks, NSF. John, thank you so much for the support. We appreciate you. Ray. Oh, God, we answered this, though. We answered this before the launch. We'd be able to see it from Bakersfield, like the different areas.
Yes.
If you're along
Yeah.
the coast there, a lot of areas you could see it from. But Ray, thank you so much for the support. James was a Red Team member. James, thank you for the support as well. We appreciate you. Smooth Juice says, what's that tower? It was either a rocket or a transporter or a rector, one of those. I'm not sure which tower we were talking about, but we appreciate you. Colton Jones, Pad Rat member, another member of the membership program there. I just said member like 4 times in 3 seconds. James also says, okay, I'm curious. So proud to finally call my cell phone number to my favorite channel on YouTube. I don't understand the question, but we appreciate you nonetheless. Thank you so much, James, for the support. Mike Kretsch says, fly that broomstick. I don't want to leave anybody out. I know we sort of put a kibosh on slowing things down before the launch, but we've got total 9966 is a pad rat as well. Mitch Bromo walked outside at CCS Space Force Station only to find Vandenberg. Different launches, different coast there, Mitch. Daniel Thornton says, you guys in EA, I guess Tim is what you're talking about, Everyday Astronaut, inspired me to get back into school. Funny that y'all are now distracting me from my trig homework. Nice. What, by doing trig on the screen? I didn't actually do any trig. I just mentioned cosines and sines. But anyways, it's about time you contribute. Love you guys. Daniel Thornton, thank you so much for the $25 there. We really do appreciate the support. And get your homework done. Stay in school. Go back to class, etc., etc. Ryan Hamster says, with the automated tracking, how much more zoom could you do? Could we get a close-up a stage step? Ryan, we have all sorts of ideas. You keep showing up to streams, and you'll keep seeing our super secret projects when they're released live to the world. Thank you so much for the support. What is this? I got to read this all the way out. Parker Emery says, West Coast or West Polar Corridor, best polar corridor.
He's gonna get a lot of likes from Jack on that one.
West Polar Corridor, best polar corridor. Nice. Thank you so much, Parker. Nikon's in space. You sort of got to say it that way.
Yes.
You have to say it that way, right? We appreciate the support there. And then I don't actually know this one. Musical Wolves was asking, what's the max airspeed for an RTLS? What an RTLS today? Airspeed? Like how fast is the
Ooh.
rocket going before it tries to do a boost back, I guess would be the question.
Oh, I think I interpreted that question as like, what's the maximum wind velocity that a Falcon 9 can land in?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question because it's airspeed makes me think of like a plane, but wind velocity.
Right.
Oh, Musical Wolves. Ask in Discord. I'm kidding. Chris, do you have any idea? I don't know.
I do not actually. I know they have not launched because of that before, but I don't know if they ever said what the actual wind speed was.
Ah, okay. Look. Oh, no. It looks like the shilling stopped on the tripod there. So even if they're trying for another one there
Yeah.
after an abort or whatever happened, not seeing any chilling there doesn't mean that they're done for the day. We've got,
Right.
we call it Raptor Hour, like the last hour of the test window from 8 to 9 every day. Usually has a test or two. But anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right, because I mean, depending on what it was, they could just be completely recycling it, which if they are, we would then expect venting to stop during a recycle, to a degree. So yeah,
Yep. All right.
all
Well,
part
again,
of the fun of watching McGregor.
we're showing McGregor live here because we had to pack up our cameras that were out at Vandenberg, but that is going to bring us to the end of our broadcast for that Falcon 9 Starlink launch you just saw at us Vandenberg Space Force Base. Let me go around the horn and just say thank you to everybody again that was involved. Chris Gebhardt, as always, it was a pleasure.
My absolute pleasure being here.
Oh
Anytime.
no, I said pleasure and you were going to say my pleasure, but I sort of like preempted what you were going to say.
You were. I had to think on the fly there.
And you still said pleasure. Like I'll have to come up with
And I
something.
did, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, Chris, thank you so much for being here as always. Also, y'all out in the field, Mr. Jack Beyer was operating one of the cameras and deployed the other one too. Make sure you follow him on Twitter because he usually posts up some photos and stuff like that he does. Not sure if he was able to do it today because he was actually tracking the launch as well for us, but he's at the Jack Beyer there on the screen in the upper right-hand corner.
I
Jack?
typically do both, but today I only did video, but I did shoot a day streak, so we'll see how the day streak came out. Thank you, everybody, for watching. That was a really cool launch from an audio perspective. That just sounded awesome, so I hope that came through on the camera. But I'll let you guys wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Bye.
Yeah, it definitely did sound good. Let's see here. Also, y'all in the background, of course, Michael working on the tracking there with the automated bot that was actually following that rocket all the way up. In the back end, we've got Patrick, who was clicking some buttons for us and stuff as well today. Patrick, thank you for clicking the buttons. And then lastly here, my name is John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight. You've heard me before. You know what I sound like. I talk too fast and I never shut up if you believe the YouTube comments, but whatever. I hope y'all had a good time today. I hope you enjoyed both seeing and really listening to the launch out of Vandenberg. And as always, however you support us, whatever you do, whether it's just showing up, whether you're asking questions, you retweet something you like, you click the thumbs up on the channel. I don't know how many people have done that. Only 3,000 people like the stream. Jeez, certainly more of you like the stream. Please, sir, could we have some more likes? Actually, it was a lot less than that. It was actually only 1,600, and I read the wrong number. But anyways, folks, however you support us, whether you're visiting this merch store, whether you're just watching the stream, whether you're liking and subscribing, whether you're a member of the membership program, whatever it is, thank you so much for letting us do this. Go out to see launches, do things like McGregor Live so you can see Raptors being tested out at the Cape. Whatever's going on, if it's spaceflight related, we want to share it with you. We want you to be able to be a part of that experience. So thank you so much for sharing this one with us today, and we will see you nerds later.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
Chamber pressure looks good. Traveling up. Roger roll, Atlantis.
Water towers can fly!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight outside SC off. Say again, SC off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.